In March 2026, the U.S. National Snow and Ice Data Center confirmed a staggering statistic. Arctic winter sea ice reached its record low peak for 2 consecutive years. Satellites measured an ice loss equivalent to twice the area of Texas. This chart tracks the area and total volume of Arctic sea ice over several decades. Plummeting right here to 2026, the ice is thinning and shrinking at an accelerated rate, leaving the Arctic in its weakest state in the satellite record. This climate catastrophe is a geopolitical earthquake, exposing the most valuable, previously unreachable territory on the planet. 3 global superpowers, the United States, Russia, and China, are now actively positioning themselves to claim what the ice left behind. Geologists estimate the Arctic seabed holds 90 billion barrels of oil, nearly 3 years of global supply, and 30% of the world's undiscovered gas. Beneath the permafrost lies a massive trove of the rare earth minerals required to build electric batteries and wind turbines. Humanity burned carbon, which warmed the planet and melted the ice. That melt provides governments 90 billion more barrels of oil, plus the minerals for green technology. This access to massive wealth has triggered a silent war. Russia controls over 14,000 miles of Arctic coastline, giving them immediate geographical dominance over the Northern Sea route. They enforce this control with a fleet of 41 icebreakers, including 7 nuclear-powered ships capable of year-round operations. To protect that coastline, Moscow has reopened 50 Soviet-era military bases along the ice. They have deployed advanced air defense systems and positioned hypersonic cruise missiles directly across the water from North America. This text details a severe operational bottleneck. Heavy Western sanctions and the economic drain of the war in Ukraine have severely depleted Russia's budget. Moscow possesses the coastline, but lacks the capital required to build modern ports and repair facilities. Russia has the military capacity to patrol the Arctic, but they cannot afford to develop it alone. To make the Northern Sea route functional and profitable, the Kremlin is becoming increasingly dependent on Chinese investment. Beijing is roughly 3,500 miles away from the Arctic Circle, yet in 2018, China officially classified itself as a near-Arctic state, inventing a legal status to justify its presence. This map traces China's Polar Silk Road. Using northern routes bypasses traditional choke points, cutting the distance to Europe. By 2025, Chinese shipping here doubled, pushing commercial vessels through the ice to establish an operational foothold. Instead of sending warships to challenge Russia, Beijing sends capital. Chinese state-owned companies are heavily financing Russian liquefied natural gas projects and paying for major port expansions in Arkhangelsk. China is executing a patient strategy, using debt and infrastructure to dictate the operational parameters of the Arctic. Beijing is embedding itself so deeply into northern logistics that it cannot be locked out of the region. The United States is severely under-equipped for this environment. While Russia commands a fleet of 40 icebreakers, the U.S. currently operates just 2 aging polar icebreakers to patrol its northern interests. In January 2026, President Trump demanded that Denmark hand over Greenland to the United States. To force compliance, he threatened to impose 25% tariffs on 8 European NATO allies. Greenland sits at the center of the GIUK Gap, the corridor used by NATO to track Russian submarines, and contains 1.5 million tons of rare earth minerals. This diagram illustrates why Washington considers the island a critical strategic prize. Danish authorities immediately rejected the demand. Indigenous populations in Greenland mobilized in the streets, holding signs declaring their home was not for sale. The Greenland Ultimatum is an aggressive move by a superpower that has realized it is losing control of the century's most important strategic board. Intelligence analysts believe the melting Arctic has transitioned from a consequence of global warming into a weapon of superpower competition. By 2026, the thaw itself became a strategic tool. This flowchart maps out a dangerous loop. Industrial activities like resource extraction and heavy shipping generate local heat and emissions. That activity accelerates the local warming, melting more ice, which opens up even more area for development. The high north is becoming a crowded industrial corridor. In place of isolated research outposts, the region features heavily militarized logistics hubs and extraction zones. The pressure of resource scarcity is fracturing 20th century alliances. The tension over Greenland and the Northern Sea route is pushing even founding NATO members toward open mistrust of one another. The starting gun for the 21st century economy has fired. The competition to control the Arctic will define global trade for the next 100 years, and the silent war for the North is happening now.